My friend is mad I won't eat their meat because I don't know where it's been when I still eat my other friend's meat and share it with my kids. My husband Jake, 35M, and I, 30F, have a group of friends from his college: Beth, 35F, George, 35M, and Lou, 35F. Beth is jealous of Lou because Lou dated someone who rejected her. Lou, Jake, and I live far from Beth and George, 2 hours from a tourist city, on what we call our homestead. We have a garden, chickens, a dairy cow, and we don't eat store-bought processed foods, except on special occasions. My family never eats meat or dairy unless we know where it came from. Since I am a stay-at-home mom, I make things from scratch, including butter, buttermilk, farmer's cheese, cream cheese, etc., and Lou lives a similar lifestyle. We will trade eggs or canned goods from our garden for goat cheese or things she grows. Her neighbor raises beef cattle, so we have met the cows before, and we split a cow with Lou's family this past year. Beth and George were visiting the city, which wasn't too far away, so they decided to have dinner at my house. I made pasta with garlic bread, butter, and chicken parmigiana. Our eating morals aren't something I usually discuss, so Beth and George weren't aware. Lou hadn't been by in a while, so when she got to our house, she brought a bag of her frozen meatballs that we had traded for. My kids were all raving about them, as they really are so good, and Beth gave me a curious look and asked what is so special about them. I told her Lou must have some secret sauce because I can never compete with them. Dinner went well outside of that. Beth and George planned to stop for dinner on their way home, and Lou and I were making dinner when they arrived. Beth was holding a tray of meatballs that looked homemade. She was smiling and walked in, asking everyone to try them. I don't force my kids to follow the Know Your Cow rule, but my daughter asked her what cow the meatballs were from. Beth laughed and said it was just grocery store meat and to try it, she would like it. My daughter said no thanks. Beth went around trying to get people to eat them, but my family and Lou's family all declined. George was eating them, trying to salvage the situation, but she came into the kitchen looking like she was going to cry and started yelling at Lou and me, saying how we had really turned our families against her and were refusing to try her food out of spite. I explained that we don't eat meat or dairy unless we know the animal. She laughed and told me to stop lying. She brought up the meal at my house that had cheese, butter, chicken, and milk, and there's no way I knew the cow that Lou's meatballs came from. I explained that we did know that cow, our dairy cow, and the chicken. I said we call ourselves vegan when we are out. She just said, right, how convenient that when it's Lou, it's fine, but not with me. She grabbed George, and they left. They haven't said anything to us besides one Facebook post Beth made about fake vegans who are only vegan when it suits them for attention, which makes me think we should have just tried her meatballs. Edit. We use Know Your Cow with our children, but we mean vet your source/rancher. This has confused a lot of people. We aren't hanging around with cows and using their full names. Update 1. Before I get to the update, I was deemed not the jerk, but many people told me I was wrong just for eating the way we eat. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation in my mind. A bunch of people called me pretentious for eating this way, and a bunch of people told me I should tell everyone in our lives how we eat to avoid this happening again, but also berated me and called me idiots for eating this way. Reddit literally proves people riot and treat you worse because of your diet, be it vegan, vegetarian, or whatever. Now for the update. I did not apologize to Beth. Mostly because we found out she was having an affair with Lou's husband for years. Lou and her husband, Phil, 39M, lived near Beth and George until about 4 years ago when they moved by us. Apparently, when Beth was in town, she made some vague comments and threats to Phil about exposing that they were having an affair for around 4 years, which ended when he moved. Phil told Lou proactively in an attempt to save their marriage. Lou is currently staying with us while she decides how to move forward. She is most likely going to file for divorce. George has also reached out to Jake, talking about the affair. He knew Beth struggled with jealousy over Lou, but didn't know how extreme it was until after the meatball incident and their drive home, where she continuously ranted about how much better she was than Lou in every aspect and how no one could see it. Beth did not come clean to him about the affair. George only found out because Lou told him. I haven't heard anything about what Beth and George are doing. I showed Lou this post, and she laughed a bit at some of the responses from people getting so upset about what we eat. So yeah, many people said Beth probably had good intentions with the meatballs, but I guess I just didn't describe the level of jealousy well, although we weren't expecting she'd take it so far. Not that she's solely to blame. Phil is equally at fault. Phil did say she was flirting with him and coming on to him for months before he caved, not that it matters.